Oh ho buddies, welcome to Borderline Games. I'm Gareth and today we're playing Chaos Head. Last time, we chose Sena to be our guardian after the fear of Shogun got the better of us. And that means that we're doing the Deus Ex Machina, not the Deus Ex Machina, which is what I thought for far too long. And we are with Sena in the little weird train carriage in the middle of the town square. And she said, "All right, let's move." So let's move. And then, as if to spur me onward, turned her back to me. Huh? Move where? To N.O.Z.O.M.I Technologies head office. Head office? What? We're going to infiltrate it. Infiltrate? Like, into the enemy base? No. What? What was this stupid bitch thinking? Did she have a death wish? Well, this was game over. God, I was such an idiot for thinking I could rely on her. Like hell, I was going anywhere near there. I wanted nothing to do with this. I wasn't the kind of person to just waltz right on into my death. I was the type of person who'd tell someone, "Wow, that plan fucking sucks," and then ditch them. Ignoring my look of disbelief, Sena strolled briskly out the door. However, I, meanwhile, stayed right where I was, refusing to budge an inch. Suddenly, I realized I could no longer move my arms. I glanced down at my body. What? Before I could even blink, a white chain had coiled around my body, and on top of that, it was wrapped around me very, very tight. Even when I tried to force it off, it refused to budge an inch. Who the... When the... What the... How did this even happen? Stop wasting time. Sena poked her head out of the window, then urged me to come quickly. I felt the chain wrapping around my body being tugged. I tried to resist, but I no longer had full control of my body. The chain led outside the train carriage and ended when it reached Sena's hand. She was holding it. She was the one pulling me. So this is what queen and slave exhibitionist humiliation roleplayers like. I see. Takumi's just too ready to be in this world. Wait, no, it was nothing like that. What the fuck? God damn it. I was such an idiot for thinking I could rely on Sena. I clearly picked the wrong person for this. Someone help me. I can't take this anymore. N.O.Z.O.M.I's main branch was apparently within walking distance of Shibuya Station, but my mental strength had already been completely drained before we even reached it. After all, Sena had been parading me around right smack in the middle of Shibuya. It went without saying that practically every cell phone in existence had been pointed at me, and with that my dark past had grown even darker. There was definitely a thread about it on our channel by now. Espen Ishijo indulging in puppy play with black-haired beauty in Shibuya. The Dekuens were never going to let me hear the end of this. No matter how much I pleaded with Sena, she refused to remove the chains. Right now, it's imperative that you stand out as much as possible. This is doing just that. Don't you think? She was constantly spouting all sorts of nonsensical reasoning, like that. Seriously, what kind of bullshit logic was that? Anzai Sensei. I want to be a man who stands out from the crowd. Had I asked her anything like that? No. No, I fucking hadn't. Okay, what the hell is that? Anzai Sensei. Backlog. No? Tips. The coach from a famous basketball manga on the internet uses parody a certain quote from the manga in order to express a desperate desire. Anzai Sensei, I want to. Another often quoted line, this one spoken by Anzai Sensei, is, "If you give up, it's game over." Okay, well, now you know. Strolling right into the enemy base. What the hell was she thinking? We could be killed at any moment. Completely ignoring my complaints, Sena casually entered the fancy building, dragging me right along with her. After all, the chain had given me no choice in the matter. The grandeur of the expansive lobby standing before me took my breath away. The N.O.Z.O.M.I group. It had apparently become one of Japan's leading conglomerates. A place like this was so far removed from the life of a student like me, it felt like a completely different world. I never set foot in a building quite like it before. The size of the lobby, the practical enshrinement of the hot grills at the reception desk. I had to take a moment to breathe. I forgot that grills meant girls. I was like, what's he talking about? Hot grills? Wait, we were in a company workplace. Shouldn't it have been off limits to unauthorized personnel? Both Sena and I were wearing N.O.Z.O.M.I uniforms, so we were very obviously high school students. Not only that, but I was wrapped up in a chain too. We were practically screaming that we were intruders. For Sena to disregard this and enter the building like she owned the place, I began to doubt her sanity. The moment we entered through the automatic doors, I made eye contact with one of the receptionists. Let's go back. I was hesitant to go any farther than we already had, but Sena didn't stop moving. Stop worrying. We moved past the reception desk and headed toward the elevator in the back. And nobody said a word to us. What the hell? Sena didn't get on the elevator though. Instead, she chose to go for the fire escape near the hall. Beyond the door was a dimly lit emergency staircase, and that was where she finally stopped. Everyone in the building is convinced that we're N.O.Z.O.M.I employees. Suddenly, before I could even blink, the pressure on my body disappeared. When I looked down, I saw that the chain around me had vanished without a trace, and the next thing I saw was the D-sword in Sena's hand. Is it maybe that the chain wasn't Sena's doing, but I kind of did it to myself to make myself go? I don't know. I feel like that kind of justifies this whole weird thing that's happening here. Was that chain just a delusion Sena had real-booted using her giglomaniac? Yeah? Giglomaniac powers. So, Sena had sent antiparticles into my dead spots, this time making the real-booted chain instantly disappear. Why would they think that we're N.O.Z.O.M.I? Because I made them. Them being everyone that observes us. She'd made them. She could do that. Sena then looked up at the top of the staircase. Something resembling a surveillance camera was installed there. It had a red light affixed to it, and it let out an eerie sound as it surveyed the room. Can you make the cameras believe it too? Maybe if I tried to. I've never tested it before. Either way, there's no need to. Why not? Won't they catch us? This is ridiculous. Destroying the cameras is one of the first things you should do in any stealth mission. Everyone knows that. Well, everyone who'd played a video game before, at least. I already told you. You need to stand out. And that's exactly what I don't get. Aren't you contradicting yourself? You made them assume we're N.O.Z.O.M.I employees in order to camouflage us, but then you turn around and say you need to stand out. Which is it? What exactly are you trying to do? All everyone ever does is speak in riddles. Do you all think I'm an idiot or something? What? Do you all think to yourselves, even if I try to explain it, he won't get it? You are, aren't you? Fuck you! Takumi's got some issues. Some deep-seated issues. Ugh, damn it, I'm smart, people. My IQ is absolutely higher than Sena's, no doubt about it. As I bit my lip in frustration, Sena took off her own up the stairs. She took off on her own up the stairs. Wondering what she'd taken off, leaving me behind to continue seething. Did this girl have any actual interest in protecting me? No, she didn't. After all, she'd already put me in harm's way by dragging me into this building. But regardless of her intentions, I just wish she'd stopped rushing ahead on her own. She could at least tell me where she was going and what she was trying to do. Just give me some sort of explanation. Please? Why were we using the staircase instead of the elevator anyway? I sucked at exercising. Riding the elevator would be suicide. Sena's voice rang out from above me. Had she read my mind again? With a sigh, I started heading up the stairs toward her office. No, where'd that come from? Toward her voice. Sena was waiting 2 stories above me. As soon as I caught up, she started climbing again. If we rode the elevator inside the enemy HQ, we'd just end up getting cornered, wouldn't we? I suppose that's true. More importantly, Nishijo, tell me more about this Shogun. When did they initially start coming after you? About a month ago. And you've talked with them before, correct? When I nodded in response, Sena stopped dead in her tracks and looked down at me from a few stairs above. Okay, oh god damn it. Takumi. I can see your panties from this angle, Sena-san. I averted my eyes out of reflex. What did they say? A lot of things. I took a moment to tell Sena about everything Shogun had said up to that point, as well as the fake kidnapping he'd staged to try and scare me. Does the name Hatano ring a bell? No. Shogun might have mentioned him. Think harder. Hatano? I'd never heard the name before. Who is Hatano? A man affiliated with Project Noah. I didn't know him. I didn't even know what Project Noah was. Fine. If you don't know, then forget it. Sena turned away in a huff and resumed her climb in silence. There's still more. We'd gone up at least 20 stories with next to no breaks. I probably never climbed so many stairs in my entire life. I was exhausted. I didn't want to climb anymore. Sweat trickled down my forehead, stinging at my eyes. I wiped it off over and over again with my hands, but it continued to bead no matter what I did. My legs felt heavy. I couldn't breathe. I felt like I was going to suffocate. I planted my hands on my knees in an attempt to catch my breath. Drops of sweat fell from my face and dotted the floor. How much farther? The presidential office is apparently on the top floor. Floor 31. 10 more floors to go. Hold on. Why was I even going along with this in the first place? All I'd done was ask Sena to protect me, so why was this happening to me? What's this? Pelenerif's... What is that? Face appeared in the back of my mind. What is that? Pelenerif's... Was that a mistake? I'll look that up. Chaos Head. Oops. Chaos Head. Chaos Head. I'm sure I've not seen that before. Is it... when he's going up in large flight of stairs, he says he's reminded of Pelenerif. Right, so it should be P-O-L-N-E-F. P-O-L. What? What is this talking about? It's weird, I clicked on something that said it had the word in, but now I can't find it. Oh well, I guess maybe we'll find it. Okay, whatever. Plenarif's face appeared in the back of my mind, whatever that is. My heavy breathing reverberated throughout the quiet staircase. Surprisingly, Sena didn't try to go on ahead after I caught up this time. Instead, she leaned against the wall and stared at me with a blank expression on her face. Seemed like she was finally letting us take a short break. Mounted above Sena was another one of the security cameras. They were installed on every floor. There was no way they hadn't found out that we'd been climbing the staircase by now. Security guards could arrive at any moment. Is it going to be that this whole place is a delusion and there's nobody actually in this building? Maybe. I don't know. The reason I didn't tamper with the security cameras earlier. Suddenly, Sena began to murmur something. It's because of this Shogun is a member of N.O.Z.O.M.I. He could be in this very building. I thought we could lure him out. So what you're saying is, you're using me as bait? Yeah, that's right. Okay, cool. Now we've got an answer. I initially had no interest in N.O.Z.O.M.I. Even deciding to infiltrate this building was an irregularity. I obviously plan to destroy Project N.O.Z.O.M.I at some point, but now isn't the time. I have something else that takes priority. Priority? She'd become awfully talkative all of a sudden. Was she finally going to explain why we were here? But Sena didn't reveal what that something else was. From what you've told me, this Shogun knows something. It could even be something about Hatano. For a split second, her face stiffened upon saying that name. Were they really that terrible of a person? Oh, is Hatano her father? I think it might be, right? Relax, Nishijo. You're getting something out of this too. In exchange for you being the bait, I'll protect you. And also, you want to learn this Shogun's identity, right? To eliminate the threat, you need to go on the effect. Sena abruptly stopped. She then frowned, stepped away from the wall and readied her gigantic D-sword, right in the middle of this narrow, cramped stairway. What's going on? Uh-oh. Sena didn't answer. She peered down the stairwell and then up, only to freeze in place. That voice. Where's it coming from? A voice. Who the hell are you? She suddenly shouted. I thought she might have been shouting at the security camera, but her gaze was directed farther upward, toward the ceiling. It couldn't be. I had a bad feeling about this. Unable to resist the bait, I looked up at the ceiling. Naturally, there was nothing there. After all, I couldn't hear the voice, but I had a good idea of what it was. Shogun. He was reading our mind using some satellite way up in the sky, and he was making Sena hear some kind of voice. Sena, don't listen to that voice. Sena! I promptly grabbed hold of her shoulders and shook her. It doesn't seem like Shogun is a part of N.O.Z.O.M.I. I was right. She had heard Shogun's voice. You're being tricked. He's an enemy. Don't believe anything he says. Oh, you hear something? Huh? My hands were still gripping her shoulders. She responded by grabbing my wrists tightly. Her nails dug in deep, shooting pain throughout my entire body. My face twisted in. Nishijo, oh, you hear something. Be careful. Ooh. N.O.Z.O.M.I. A flash of light burst into my head, and from that light an image came forth. A dark room. A puddle of blood staining the floor, a modern art piece resembling that of a crucifix. Someone was bound there, with their head lifelessly hanging down. Their clothes stained in blood, their right hand cruelly severed. Ah! I'd seen it. I'd seen it clearly. There was, without a doubt, Nanami. Nanami's here. Somewhere in this building. She had been kidnapped by Shogun. Her wrist. That wasn't a delusion. It was real. I had to find her. I wasn't able to save her before, and now Sena was suffering too. So I had to find her. This time for sure, I had to do something. Calm down, Nishijo. The likelihood of this being a trap is... Just a minute ago, you also believed that what Shogun said, didn't you? I violently shook Sena's hands off of me. The presidential office was on the 31st floor. Seriously, listen to the sound. It's a different delusion than Shogun's interference. That's Sena. I ignored her and sprinted up the stairs. This was no time to complain about my exhaustion. I was desperate. N.O.Z.O.M.I was suffering, and it was my fault. It was all my fault. I'd failed her back then. I'd run away. She must resent me. Forgive me. I'm a pathetic excuse for an older brother. Damn it, I wanted power. I wanted a D-sword like Sena's. Why? Why couldn't I get my hands on one? It was all I asked for. N.O.Z.O.M.I, don't die. I'm begging you. N.O.Z.O.M.I. I made it to the giant 31st floor, and there was only one entrance to it. Wasting no time, I flung it open and dove straight through. And just like that, I was in the very same room that I saw in the vision. Several monitors hung from the ceiling, each displaying the word N.O.Z.O.M.I on a white background. 2 different logos. Not good marketing, N.O.Z.O.M.I. You want to have one solid logo that you use everywhere. If you have a room with 2 different logos in, people are going to think it's 2 different products. It's not, it's the same product. Just a little marketing advice. I looked over for N.O.Z.O.M.I. I looked all over for N.O.Z.O.M.I. The room was so dark I couldn't make anything out clearly, but... N.O.Z.O.M.I? There were no signs of life. No movement, no breathing, nothing at all. Mrs. Joe. Chasing after me, Sena flew through the open door. She forcefully grabbed my hand. We're getting out of here now. This is a trap. But N.O.Z.O.M.I is... Can't you hear the sound? Suddenly, the door that we'd left open slammed shut all on its own. The room grew even darker. Shit! Sena ran to the door and wrestled with the knob, but it refused to budge. Then, the outline of the D-sword in her hand suddenly faded to nothing. It was almost as if it had completely dissolved. We've been locked in. Can't you just get us out with your powers? I can't form delusions properly. Sena's face twisted. She rubbed her temples and weakly shook her head. I was getting a headache. I only noticed it when I'd regained my focus. It wasn't severe by any means, but... the minor faint pain. It seemed to reverberate from the very centre of my head. An ache that throbbed and throbbed and throbbed. I feel kind of... lightheaded. N.O.Z.O.M.I. Where are you? Is this one of Shogun's traps? Is Shogun my ally? What kind of company is N.O.Z.O.M.I Technology? Sena has such small tits. No matter what Takumi goes through, there's still that little bit of him that's a creep. He likes to hold on to that with both hands. Who's Atano anyway? Weird. I'm losing my train of thought. We're being hit with biorhythmical attacks. The display on 2 of the monitors overhead suddenly changed. In place of the N.O.Z.O.M.I logo, the faces of 2 middle-aged men appeared, one on each monitor. My word. The youth of these days know no fear. Of course, that is meant entirely in a negative sense. Indeed. Perhaps this is the result of the lax education system you implemented, Mr. Inohana. I was merely executing the plan as specified by the Committee of 300 as a single link within the chain of the worldwide human domestication project. It was a serviceable program. What was going on? Who were these people? The fact that you were also the one to shut it down proved quite amusing. Oh, that's the other person. I imagine that felt quite outside the Committee of 300's expectations. Yes, Mr. Karamochi. Ignorant to our ambitions, they fully intended to rule the world without a shred of opposition. To them, such an action served as a declaration of war. Conquering the world does not require the power of 300. The 2 of us are more than enough. What were those 2 talking about? Then, right as I was thinking that, the 2 men on the monitors turned their stares to me. Placing the matter aside for now, it all went exactly according to Narose's predictions. I never would have thought anyone would be foolish enough to wander directly into our nest. I don't know who's who, so I'm just going to kind of alternate. If we were here to leave them here for a week, they would grow far more debilitated to resist. After which, how about we return and treat ourselves to a rousing torture show? We've already collected and stored Hatano Sena's code sample in our database. Hatano Sena. Who was that? We would be better off brainwashing her. Once that is done, shall we make her our soldier? I propose we not only make her our soldier, but our plaything as well. Enslaving our own little giglomaniac girl sounds like an even better option. I see your tastes are just as refined as mine, Mr. Anahana.
Well then, our dear little Gigglemaniacs, please enjoy your confinement to the fullest. 1 week from now, Project Noah will have brought a drastic change upon the world. You have my greatest sympathies for not being able to bear witness to the moment of reform.
Phew. The old men disappeared from the monitors and the room was covered in darkness once again. It's been a trap. It had all been a trap. To think 2 grown men, one of which I was sure was a member of the House of Representatives, would join forces just to trap some random otaku freak like me. This couldn't be real. It had to be a fucking joke. N.O.Z.O.M.I wasn't here. She had to be in prison somewhere else. I felt absolutely pathetic for playing right into their hands. If I'd known this would happen, I would have just listened to Sena. Who's saying this to think? To think the founder of the Cosmic Church of the Divine Light and a member of the Diet would both be part of the Committee of 300. Oh, that's Sena, surely. Sena slammed her shoulder against the entrance again and again, but it refused to give in. It had probably been locked from the outside, and seeing as it was extremely sturdy, trying to bust it open was likely impossible. The Committee of 300. If I remembered correctly, wasn't that the name of the organisation which occasionally popped up in conspiracy theories? Did it actually exist? If you think about it, it all adds up. After all, the Committee of 300 were the ones who originally founded this theory of silent weapons. What was that Project Noah thing those old guys were just talking about? Having given up, Sena stepped away from the door in defeat. She surveyed the dimly lit room with a sullen expression. It's a silent weapon development program that N.O.Z.O.M.I technology has been pursuing. Silent weapon? To put it in layman's terms, it's a mind control device that operates over an extensive range. Mind reading, visual projection, and control over the 5 senses. It doesn't harm you physically. It has no sound, colour or scent, and it's invisible to the naked eye. However, it is sure to slowly and quietly contaminate the minds of the masses. Silent weapon attacks can be executed without anyone noticing. Isn't that just like the powers of a Gigglemaniac? Of course, silent weapons originated from the idea of artificially creating Gigglemaniacs after all. It was all so insane that it didn't even feel real. But in the end, that was just the way things were. I was no hero, even if I was told that an insane conspiracy such as that was true, and it was currently unfolding in Shibuya. I wouldn't feel the slightest urge to stand against it. Even if I were to try and go out and fight, I wouldn't be able to help anyone. I'd just leave it to someone who was actually useful. Maybe, just maybe, the New Gen incidents, as well as the endless string of bizarre events that had been plaguing me, were all related to this Project Noah. If that was the case, I would need to leave Shibuya as soon as possible in order to protect myself. All I wanted was for N.O.Z.O.M.I to be safe, me to be safe, and for us to live in a place... No, live in peace. That was all I wished for, just to live in a place. For that to happen, I needed to find a way out of here. I couldn't stand the thought of being stuck in a place like this for upwards of a week, especially with there being no sign of any food or water anywhere. Oh, so that's what those old guys have been talking about. If we didn't eat or drink for an entire week, we'd inevitably start to break down. Worst case scenario, we could even die. Sena, find a way to get us out of here. The door won't open. Sena looked utterly exhausted. What about your D-sword? For some reason I can't summon it. My powers are being blocked. This is a silent weapon attack, Nishijo. Silent weapon attack? The hell? Are you saying there's no way out? Sena, with a look of pure exhaustion, slumped down to the floor. Are you okay? Damn it. My body feels so heavy. And there's some kind of weird feeling. Like my chest is being constricted. Her breathing shallow, Sena undid a few buttons of her uniform. Oh, fuck. There we go. Even in the dark, I could see that her skin was drenched in sweat. Despite our situation, I found myself getting flustered. Come to think of it, it did feel pretty hot in here. Hey, do you have any water? Of course I didn't, but I was getting thirsty too, and fast. The thought of spending a full week in this heat without a drop of water made me feel utterly hopeless. Sena was staring fixedly at me. I knew there was no way I'd be able to maintain eye contact with a 3D girl, so I desperately looked away. I could still feel her gaze piercing through me. Don't look. No, I don't. When I answered, I took a quick glance at Sena. Our eyes met. Hold on. What was up with those shimmering eyes of hers? She almost looked like a love-struck maiden or some shit. Well, I was both a virgin and I'd never had a girlfriend before, so I didn't know if that actually happened in reality. Panicking, I turned my back to Sena and gulped down my building saliva. What is this? Careful, Nishijo. They might be manipulating our emotions. Huh? What do you mean? When I look at you, I feel an unbearable longing. Damn it, what the hell kind of attack is? So the attack involved making Sena feel like she'd fallen in love with me. Or could it be that she'd already had feelings for me to begin with? Yeah, no way in hell. Use your brain, Takumi. What the hell are they using to manipulate our emotions? In the end, human emotions are nothing but electronic signals flowing through our brains. Technology to interfere with those signals is being researched all over the world, and in the worst case scenario, it may have already been put into practice, and if we're being hit by a silent weapon like N.O.Z.O.M.I, doing so would be child's play. Do you get it now? This is what I meant back when I said the world was an electronic device. Does that mean it's like a program? Lines of ones and zeros? It'd be incredibly easy to tamper with something like that. It's a scientifically proven fact that electronic signals run through our brains. So in reality, not only our emotions, but both the mind and soul are reducible to the mere electronic signals. Wait a second. That's no different from 2D, is it? For example, let's look at a heroine from an N.O.Z.O.M.I. Least a lot from ESO, the anime versions of Seratan and Sena. What's the difference between the four of them? If what Sena says about everything in the world being an electronic device is true, then there are no differences. They're all the same, mere electronic signals running through a device. I felt like I finally, albeit vaguely, understood why Sena had used the word error. If all of that was true, then this N.O.Z.O.M.I weapon would be like some super deadly virus or someone using cheats in order to PK. Not even Neidhart could win against those kinds of people. And not only that, but compared to Neidhart, I was a ridiculously shitty playable character. So in the end, being trapped here and starving to death like a pathetic loser, well, that was a pretty fitting game over for me. It's not my fault. This blatant death flag, it's because of the person controlling me. It's all their fault. Fuck my life. Trailing my head, I curled into a ball. Okay, well, we're truly trapped. Around 28 hours had passed since we'd first gotten locked in here. During that time, I dozed off and lost consciousness countless times. And we're going to find out what happens when Takumi wakes up. Next time on Borderline Games. Thank you so much for watching this. You know what? I'm getting worse at saying that. Let's try and say it properly. Thank you so much for watching this episode of Chaos Head. I will see you next time. Take care of yourselves. Have a good evening. Bye-bye. 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 Bye-bye.